scrolling through YouTube here. There we go. On a couple of videos just came through. First, let me say, I have had a message come to me from a coworker offering to let me use their vehicle. Today was covered, and I believe Sunday was covered by somebody that was looking for some extra hours, so I'm going to let that dude get some hours. Hopefully he makes money. As of the schedule on Monday, I believe I'm going to be hitching a ride to town, making sure this person is wherever they need to be, and then able to use that vehicle, and then just make sure that they get the gas money. It's going to be a diminished return compared to if I was using my own vehicle. However, the wear and tear on the vehicle does not go toward my vehicle. Therefore, I don't have that ultimate right to, it's just how it goes. So it's like, as long as the tips are good, but it's going to be one of those X hex big bad on people that don't tip. Because then it's going to be the person whose car it is gets the money for the gas money for that run. And the people that think that they're having a fun one over on their driving waiter is... yeah, so we're going to see how that goes. But anyways, yeah. You are about to receive a miracle, the man said. Well, could be that's what that is. So I'm scrolling. I'm looking at, the Saturday feed of information. I'm noticing there's a lot of channels not producing content, or I'm not being shown their content. And I unfortunately have such a ridiculously large subscription list that it's very hard for me to be able to go through and just remember who's all stuff. There's a few people here and there that I come to find out have gotten a strike or whatever. There are still useful idiot brigades that go around and get channels struck down. Right now, YouTube has made so many changes to their advertising revenue policy that it's making it increasingly difficult, if not impossible, for reaction channels to do music, which is their bread and butter, or any other content for that matter. Anything that is monetizable by advertising is being just taken straight from the content creators, even if it's transformative. This actually disproportionately affects a large number of black people. It's the reason why I like reaction channels as content, is there are a ton of people who are highly melanated, whose lives benefit from the ability to do YouTube content for money instead of hood shit to get by. Ask any of them. So now you got people brigading channels where black people are watching content to do with racism or, politics or whatever, because they can't do it for music, but people pay them on the Patreon and say, hey, check out this Thomas Sowell video. Check out this Turning Points video. Like whatever. PragerU, right? And they go into it and they say, yeah, I'm not going to do the Republican-Democrat thing, but let's see. And then they go look, but then guess what? A lot of these folks are then also checking up to make sure that what they're hearing is correct. And when it is, they're like, okay, damn, that's true. The other benefit of this is that it does provide kind of a role model example for other people that aren't making content, but could benefit from viewing the content and be like, oh, see, here's someone else who is coming to this understanding of a truth that looks like me, kind of thing. It's all the same arguments as what they make on the left, only in the direction of actual truth. Gotta love that air quality. He said as he lit a cigarette. So there's a lot of channels that have been brigaded because of recent news to do with either Biden or Trump. And now all their stuff is just not coming through. The other channels and content and whatever, it just all kind of depends. But definitely there's been some kind of another adpocalypse, and it's hard to tell even who all is or isn't there at this point. It's messed up. So I'm scrolling, and I keep getting like, because I follow some of the congressional stuff, I get the Forbes breaking news blurbs. And I've just seen a couple of interesting ones. I saw one where Lindsey Graham says he doesn't think that Joe Biden actually would be one to take a bribe, but then gives it to Grassley, who says, well, we got this form here that says he took a bribe. And then after Grassley speaks, you get Durbin, who is the chairman of that committee in the Senate. And the chairman says, well, that form is for raw information, and the raw information may not have been verified at that point. And of course, Durbin being a partisan Democrat, urged away from looking at anything, and we should just let this go and move on to more important things. And then Graham and Grassley both kind of take to the idea of, well, the problem is that we got an FBI agent that finally admitted that this thing is a real form after we've already looked at it. And then we come to find out that they say that this was a nothing burger. Okay, so we need to know what specifically gave you the insight that this was a nothing burger. You can't just say, trust me, bro. And then Grassley says, well, the thing is, if it's under investigation, or no, it was Graham that said, if it's under investigation, then we have to drop it because we cannot interfere in an investigation. But if that's the case, that means it is legit. It's verified then. And if we have to treat it as a nothing burger, we must have the work shown as, that's what Grassley said, they must show their work. Tell us what specifically proved that this was a nothing burger. Kind of stuck. It's an interesting situation. But they're so slow moving. The Senate is controlled by the wrong people at this point, too. Nothing that goes through in this Congress, in this House session, before a new president can get in and a new majority can take over the Senate, because I have a feeling the Senate's going to end up, unless there is fuckery, the Senate's going to end up going back to the Republicans. If they get a thing that says, well, it seems like there may very well have been some bribery, we must impeach to find out the truth, because impeachment is just to say we're going to investigate. And it's an official proceeding at that point. And they must impeach, but once they get through with it, if they find enough proof that they have to send it through to the Senate to convict, the Senate will do nothing because they're currently controlled by the same political party as the person being impeached. And we have heads of all of basically the cabinet are in positions where, through these various oversight committees and other things, we have pretty conclusive proof that they are all engaged in direct assistance of criminal syndicates and such. There's this deal with Kevin McCarthy went to California, to Orange County, to talk to their district attorney down there, because the rash of crime that they're having in California, it turns out the people that are perpetrating, like the overwhelming majority of it, are all from one country who was recently added to a little visa exchange deal where they don't have to background check anybody coming from that country. And a fairly sizable portion of their country's population are engaged in a criminal syndicated network of thieves that come here, steal a bunch of shit, get it out onto the resale black market, go back to their country, renew their visa, come back and do it again. It was recently added by the people currently in charge to the list of countries that we don't even need to check. And apparently it's the only South American country that's on that list like that. All the other ones are typically like UK or something, like Canada, like, I don't know, Japan maybe, but nothing from South America. Every other country from South America, due to the way that their governments are run, the way the circumstances are, without regard to the fact that our country probably had a hand in a lot of that back in the day or to the present. Those countries don't get a free walk-in. Except for the one country, and that one country's got a criminal syndicate that is operating in California. I thought that was pretty wild. So let's see, what else did I see that it showed me? Several clips of oversight committees of various nature in their markups for various topics that they have to address. And these things are dry as hell. Dry. Boring. But what you get is these various legislative committees have witnesses before them who are purported to be experts in their field. And what I'm seeing is an emerging pattern, more and more and more. These committees always, anyway, we already knew this, will have the majority who has the chair will have like 3 of the 4 witnesses be theirs. And then the minority gets a witness as well. It was done the other way too when it was the other party in charge. The Democrat Party, operationally, in practicality, in Congress, demonstrates their soft bigotry of low expectations and outright, if not backhanded, it's a little of both, it's thinly veiled. There is some kind of weird put it this way, they're doing black people no favors by image with the people of color that they're putting as these witnesses. I keep clicking through these things, and unfortunately, the only way I can put it, and this is not a statement about people of color in general, just to be clear, but specifically the folks that are working with the Democrat Party. Smug idiots of color. And yes, there are smug idiots in every single demographic. There is smug idiocy everywhere. That's the whole nature of it. They're too dumb to realize that they're dumb. And so they think they're smart. So they're smug about it. Yeah, well, you know. Stacey Plaskett being the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, for one, right? That lady doesn't know anything about anything. She is not articulate. She reads what she is told to read off of a card, and she is the non-voting delegate representing in Congress the part of the world where Jeffrey Epstein's nasty, weird island is a property taxed location. It's in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which she represents, right? But she is a smug idiot. And because she is a person of color, that's why they put her there. That's why they put her there. Now I watched another bit with diversity, equity, and inclusion director of some sort for the military. And a congressman who had served in the military, and who was referring to somebody on the other side of the aisle who had also served in the military and how there was still a brotherhood of arms. And asking questions and getting to the point of, if we're looking for, in the military especially, the best for the situation, and what does the best look like? Okay, so how we determine in the military is that you have these special missions and operations. You don't force or require someone to take the job. You look for volunteers, and of the people that volunteer, you test them to find out who is most qualified, and that's who gets it. Or you train them. So then ask the question of the diversity person, like, am I white? And well, I mean, I'd be asking you what you identify as, how you classify yourself. And he says, okay, well, here's the problem. We, the government, the military, can't do that. Can't. It's against the rules, against the way of the Constitution and the rights. It's the law. You cannot ask that. So then, in his point being, why have the first filter of sorting, the initial basket of candidates, must be more diverse? Why have that be the first factor? when it is not something you can check, not something you can inquire about, not something that necessarily impacts the qualifications. Therefore, why not go for most qualified, or why not go for volunteers and then filter for qualification? And she just seemed kind of stumped. Also, having just a good old time being dressed up with some crazy ass hair, too much makeup, and making a big show out of drinking a bottle of water on camera. Oh, yeah. The woman was a cartoon character. And you remember what I said in the last video about the distinct difference, the difference in things that are worldly, ergo satanic, and things that are truly divine. The things that are worldly and satanic are cartoonish. The things that are divine are just is. These people are cartoonish. These smug imbeciles. They are, and they are put there specifically. We want to make sure that the person in this spot is a person of color. By sending an idiot to sit in that person of color spot, you give people of color a bad name. Democrats. You do that. They do that. This is what I'm getting at. It has nothing to do with quality of people, or black people are like, no. It doesn't work like that. But what it does work like is, by example, the people who claim to be all in favor of helping black people are doing them no favors. And it almost seems like they're doing it on purpose. Send that stupid idiot in there. And so they have the lady with the plastic glasses, the plastic topper on her metal water bottle, and she's talking about the plastic industry must be stopped. And then they're like, okay, so what about your glasses? What about your shoes? What about your car? What about your water bottle? What about your phone? What about the place where you got the water to put into your metal bottle? What about the piping? Like this whole thing. And she's just like, God, goes, I didn't think of that. Just cartoonishly stupid. These are the people they're sending. And they're making sure that they are people of these, what you could call minority demographics when they do it, that they send it in there specifically to look like a fool in front of everybody. This does those people's demographic no favors whatsoever. Yeah, I tell you what, it's amazing the bullshit that they send out that I see. People are doing this. They're doing this in Congress, okay? They trying to look at Cringe Moppy Hair. I'm sorry, Corinne Jean-Pierre in the White House at the press briefings and whatever. How bad she's getting clowned these days. I have a suspicion that she's going to be done with her job pretty soon. That she will not be able to continue. But she was from the outset specifically sent there to be the first intersectional, female, black, lesbian, immigrant in that job. But at no point in that list of qualifications does it say best person for the job. Just that. The first category be that we want it to be someone that fits this intersectionality of diversity, equity, and inclusion, without regard to qualification. Again, the Democrat Party putting smug idiots of color in positions of prominence so that people can see them being smug idiots and note the fact that they were put there because of their diversity, equity, and inclusion scoring of intersectionality. This does every other regular mom and pop, Dick and Jane, whoever, of color, does them no favors whatsoever. This is why I refuse to vote for the Democrats for anything. If RFK gets off the Democrat ticket, I would totally vote for him. But as a Democrat, I'm not voting for him because he will be contractually obligated to the Democrat Party to abide by their executive leadership. And at this point, I'm going to guess that their executive leadership is probably Barack Obama. So, no, I'm sorry. That party, they're a lost cause. And it's obvious because every time they claim to be fighting in the name of getting rid of racism or, you know, the promoting the prominence of people of color and protected minorities and whatever else, every time they send someone up specifically of that class, they pick the worst possible idiotic candidate, put them on full display, and make the entire group that they claim to represent look like idiots as well. They are doing no one any favors. That's what I picked up. That's what the algorithm has shown me today. Prominently and predominantly, that is what it has shown me today. This does not impact my personal opinions or feelings about anybody with respect to things like skin color, ethnic nationality of origin, or whatever. It does not affect me personally on that. I don't see like, oh, that idiot, that must be all. No, I don't think like that. I really don't. But what I'm saying is they are pushing this onto a population of people in general, the people of the world or America or whoever's consuming this stuff. A lot of those people don't know how to think. All they know how to do is accept what they're told, and they're going to see these people doing this thing. This is going to cause your average normie to have some kind of subconscious bias against these same kind of people's groups, these classifications of diversity, as it were. Try to be politically correct about it. Comes off sounding like a goddamn dog whistle, doesn't it? Maybe that's because the diversity shit's racist. But the average normie who doesn't know any better gets the wrong impression from seeing these smug idiots of color in positions of prominence by the Democrat Party. It gives them no positive reinforcement to not be racist. The average normie I'm talking about. And it does no favors to the people who also match that demographic of inclusion and equity and diversity. Seriously. The Democrat Party is doing black people no favors whatsoever by having idiots, complete nincompoops, pushing their agendas. It does not help anyone. And the sooner the voting base, real people, actual, like, folks, pick up on that, get away from that political party. There is more to it than just red versus blue. So anyways, that's all the time I got for here. Now I have to shrink this thing down so it'll upload more quickly. What an omnibus. What an omnibus.